Welcome back to the Valve Bounce podcast. I'm here with expert analyst Damo. It's the eve of the Supercars first final series. Fans of Nascar, they've unleashed on social media following the outcome of the XFinity and the Cup Series championships. It's threatened to derail the Supercars over here, so we're going to discuss that and a whole lot more in this episode of the Valve Bounce. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your likes and your subscribes. Damo, how are you?
G'day. What on earth were you doing on our socials? Just absolutely putting fuel on the fire, were you? Right? Just having a crack at a few people.
Not having a crack, just trying to let people know that it's not doom and gloom and that, you know, the right people won.
Yeah, well, it was interesting that when we say final systems, despite them being vastly different, that final system seems to be this thing of, well, they've got a final system and I don't like how it panned out there, so therefore we're screwed here in supercars. It's like, well, just hold on. It's been good so far, and also it's a little different, the setup, so I think we'll be okay, mate. I'll be okay.
I think we'll be all right. And look, I think supercars are probably just a bit, oh, shit, we didn't really need that right now. But you know what?
Put another super video up.
Have we had enough of those? I haven't seen one for a while.
Oh, no.
Move on to, we got a bit on the agenda, as we sort of said. Yeah. So obviously Nascar controversy. We've had a few driver announcements, departures and incoming. So we'll discuss that. This is potentially the youngest field for next year that we're going to see. So we'll go through that. And then we'll cap it off with Formula One because it's the Brazilian Grand Prix this weekend, and we'll have a chat about that. So let's get this party started, as you said before we went live, and open up the segment about the NASCAR and the Supercars finals and the playoff system. The internet definitely lost its mind over Connor Zilisch and Denny Hamlin also failing in the Cup Series. I actually feel Hamlin was the worst of the two personally. So with Connor Zilisch, he just didn't have the car speed and he got himself to the front with 40 laps to go. Unfortunately for him, Jesse Love just had pace. He actually had a poor restart from second and then dropped back to fourth, but then just worked his way past. And with 20 laps to go, he took the lead and Connor just slowly dropped back. He ended up finishing third. Everyone lost their minds at this because Connor has won 10 races this year. I think that's correct. And for me, that's great. And this is what I said, you know, it's all well and good to win 10 races throughout the season. It's a spectacular season, no matter which way you look at it. But you have to win the one that counts there. So for everyone playing at home, the last race with the final four is whoever finishes ahead wins, right? They don't necessarily have to win the race, but they have to finish ahead of the other three competitors that they're battling against. And at the end of the day, that was Jesse Love. So congratulations, Jesse. Well done.
Well done. Yeah, right. And it is one of those things that everybody going in knows the rules. It's not new for them. You know, it's a known quantity. Yep, it can be a bit heartbreaking, but at the end of the day, that's what they're playing for. And I only watched a bit of the highlights for the XFinity. Jesse Love looked like he had a fair bit of pace.
He had a lot of pace. He could run pretty much high or low,
wherever he wanted. Yeah,
wherever he wanted. And when your car's working like that, you're flying. Right. Yep. So the other one was obviously the Cup. Now, this one I actually feel, because Kyle Larson, congratulations, you won your second NASCAR Cup championship. But Denny Hamlin led almost the entire race. And if it wasn't for a late caution and a pit stop where they took 4 instead of 2.
Why? They had the advantage. They could see the cars ahead of them that they took 2. It's like, okay, just run the 2, take mate. 2 and, you know, that is heartbreaking.
Yeah. So that one I could argue that one's unfair, but at the same time, you can also argue that it's mismanagement by the team and the crew. They should have just done the 2 and ran it home. I mean, you're only talking, I think it was like 3 laps, whatever it was. So just do the two, take track position and hold on for dear life and collect yourself a championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was destroyed. One of his quotes off the back of that was, I just don't want to look at a race car right now. So
Yeah.
I can completely understand. I think even Kyle Larson was like, ugh. And then there was an interview process after the fact that I can't think of who caused the caution, but it was actually Kyle Larson's teammate. He got a flat with the last few laps, and he literally came into Denny and said, "I'm so sorry, mate. Like, that's not how you want."
I know those tires were going everywhere. It was like they were dropping like flies. I did hear some were running lower pressures than they should have been, and that's why they kept exploding. And that's, you can imagine. So the teams screwed up on the pit stop, taking 4 instead of 2. And if they were running really low pressures to try and get some more pace out of that car, and then they pop a tire, cause the caution for your teammate. Oh, it is heartbreaking, mate.
So there's not much you can do about it. But yeah, so they've lost their mind. So that's setting the scene so you understand what's actually happening there. What I wanted to ask you, and you can come at this as hard as you want or as soft as you like, is all this conjecture, like angst, like they are angry, like I got told to. Is it set up right? And is it like warranted to have that kind of response to the rate, like to this season? Like you have this awesome run and everything else, and then it just seems like everyone's peeved. Do you think that's warranted?
No, so here's my take. I think the collective people, like the fans, whatever, that are up in arms about this, I think they've just been waiting for the final system to fall over. I'm convinced, because there's no way that you could be a true fan to see what has happened so far and not think that it's been a positive for the sport. Yes, for those in the diehard Brock Feeney camp, they could probably argue that he is the only one that's probably suffered a little bit out of this. But by the same token, he knew what this was coming in. And he has said throughout the year, because he's been quoted on this, that, I've just got to drive to what I need to for the championship. It is what it is. I'm not in the old system. And it just feels like things were too good after Bathurst, and then into this first round, people are just waiting to get fired up about something, and the final system is going to be that thing, regardless of whether it ends up really good or there's a bad outcome. But it just feels like it's unwarranted, because like we do have different systems. The way the points are set up, the bonus extra points that the drivers get going in, it's not the same. So I don't understand deep down why people so confused and angry.
From both, there's American anger, and there's also here, which is interesting. I tend to agree. I don't think it's really warranted to be that upset about it. As I touched on with Connor, you got to have the pace to win when it counts, and he didn't have the pace to win, and that's just racing, right? You turn up to the racetrack trying to win every time you go there, and sometimes it doesn't come off. Denny, well, that's a bit harder, but again, it's the team mistake that cost him that championship, not because of the caution that came out because of a blown tire or anything like that. You've got to win when it counts, and you've got to execute your pit stops and your strategy when it counts. And if you can't do that, well, then you're not deserving of the championship.
Well, anyway. Motorsport's always cruel, right? We've had it, back to, you think about Brazil. Is that Glock? Is that Glock? Like, we've had tragedy, like Massa not winning. Motorsport can be at times a real brutal sport with things happening. And you do have to put up with it. I'm really surprised at the backlash in the States, because, as I said, it's not this brand new thing. They're kind of playing with known rules, and maybe it just shows the people's fans, who they're dedicated to. And maybe they're up for a change. Maybe they've had this system too long, and they're just going to switch back to a traditional kind of championship. It's really surprising for the Supercars crossover, that's all.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, right, you make the change and then it wraps up with 4 or 5 rounds to go, then people start arcing up at the fact that it's so boring. Like, you can't, like, the categories can't win. is
No.
what I'm effectively saying. It doesn't matter which way they go, what they do, they can't win. So I sort of lean on the side of what provides the most entertainment for us, the punters. And
Yep.
right now, especially in supercars after that very first round, and yes, Sandown might be very different, but I think it's a tick, and I'm backing it in. So let's switch from that. The thing that we want to know is whether it disrupts supercars overall. I think it's a select few that it's disrupted and got their knickers in a twist. And I would suggest it's maybe our audience. You guys can let us know whether it's something that's, giving you the ick. Ultimately, I think it's this older crowd that are used to the old system and how that played out for so long and don't like change. I think the younger crowd wouldn't be as vocal right now. Do you reckon that's fair?
Well, as one of those old people, almost, yeah, I don't know. I think you're probably right. There is, I can think about, a lot of people that I've known through my car clubs and etc. that would not be happy with this setup, right, with the final stuff. They still, I mean, I know one guy that still wasn't happy with moving off from Group C, right? So, like we had Group A and then Supercars in that time, and we've had generations through it. So, um, like you're never going to make everybody happy all the time. And you're probably right. I think it obviously as you get older, you don't like change as much. It's just a natural thing, but. Yeah, I'm just surprised that after the last round of what we've had at Supercars and Bathurst, how you can't have some sort of you can't be convinced that this is kind of working for the time being. And that's why I guess I was so shocked, because this is even when it goes down to the wire in supercars where you've got two people that can probably win in the last round, it still never felt like, it felt a bit exciting, but it never felt like what I'm getting right now, what I feel, where you're not really sure what's going to happen next, and you're kind of like excited for, or you're going to be really sad when that moment happens. I'm just shocked that I can't see what's in front of them and just go, oh, just enjoy the plate that's in front of you. It's a good feast.
It is. It is like for the first time in a while, we're having a whole lot of discussion around what's happening and how this is going to play out and what we think could happen, and Sandown's going to be Kamari dominated, or like there's just discussion, and that's ultimately all we want. We want to be able to talk about the sport. We love the sport. We all love the sport, so let's just love the sport. Like, get up them for the things that need to be fixed, like parity and things like that. That's absolutely fine. I'm totally on board with you there. But this final system, I just can't even see the argument for the other side right at this given moment. That might change, but right now I can't see it. So no, I don't think it disrupts. So I think in conclusion, for me, I think it's going to be a success. Sandown has the potential to be slightly flat only because of the nature of the course. But if it adds water, anything could happen.
Well, that is the big unknown, isn't it? Because, it could be an absolute harebrained situation, because we've seen some bad Sandowns when the weather's bad. At this stage, we can only just hope for the best. But if we think about like a more traditional, and in the background I'm just crunching some numbers to see what it would look like without this, replacing the new final system with the old system, and I don't reckon we'd be as excited going into Sandown, because there's probably, with Feeney's Enduro Cup stuff wasn't great, so he probably dropped a few. It would have closened the points a little bit, but it might not have been as exciting as this will be, where we know we're going to lose people, and we know that people are going to be fighting tooth and nail, as per what we just saw in the last round, to keep themselves and get themselves in that top four for Adelaide. So,
Mate,
yeah,
Chaz went from 6th to 2nd in a
yeah,
weekend. Like, that's it's wild, right? We love that.
yeah.
Like, it's just this, Kostecki and Bloody Woody arguably should be in these final systems, but they're not. They're out.
They're not.
Like,
They're out.
there's so many things. Like, I just, and they're two drivers that I was backing, so you can't even call me biased about it. It's the fact that they dropped is an exciting thing, because it's like, holy shit, two of the big key guys are now out of that finals battle. Who's next? Who drops? So Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we've got a lot to look forward to, and we should just keep the glass half full right until
Yeah.
the end and see how it completely plays out.
Yep. And I guess our question to you, as the people who are watching, let us know if you think we got it wrong. I will just ask, unlike some people online at the moment, maybe be a little bit constructive. Most people who make comments have been amazing, like just
Oh
really
yeah.
putting thought into it, and it's never, even if you don't agree with it, like you can be constructive about it. But yeah, we'd love to hear how you think it's going and what you thought of the NASCAR crossover that sort of caused this chaos.
Absolutely. No, comment all the way, guys. You guys actually been pretty fantastic on the comments. So
Yeah, love it.
happy for you to keep punching those away. And we'll keep responding, even if we shouldn't
Yeah.
sometimes. But, or if Damo responds and I don't see it and then I respond, there's fun
Yeah.
stuff like that too.
Yeah. Got to keep that refresh button going because I've done it the
Yeah,
other way
yeah.
too.
All
All
right.
right, mate.
So let's move on to Supercar silly season because I don't want to sit on the finals for forever. There's
It's
been
a bit.
a big key announcement by Will Davison departing Dick Johnson Racing, or sorry, Shell V Power Racing, and Rylan
Yeah.
Gray. Rylan Gray gets the nod and gets the seat. What do you
Wow.
think about that?
Well, I guess we've been talking about this possible move, and it sort of felt like Will was just not in the zone of where he needs to be. And so we've sort of talked about him as a driver. And so when the announcement came, it was obviously a surprise because he still technically has that +1 on his contract.
Hmm.
But seeing Rylan Gray, I mean, so another junior basically coming in and switching camps or teams, if you like, because we saw it with Kai Allen, who went from DJR to Penrite, and now Rylan coming from Tickford through to Shell V Power. I don't think I remember seeing anyone having too many whispers about this one happening, and it was for me a big surprise. But he's shown pace. He's shown that he can do it, but it's obviously going to be a big learning curve, as it always is, stepping into the main game because people do play for sheep stations. And so, yeah, I guess I'm excited for him, but looking forward to see how he goes.
I've been open the last few pods where I said that I think it is time for Wilbur to stand aside, not because I don't like him or anything else. It's just purely he doesn't seem to be gelling with the way forward for the team. So I thought, honestly, my thought was Todd Hazelwood would be a great fit for them because he seems to be able to drive Brody's car.
Yep.
However, I think what's happened is that Todd might be a little too old now. So what they've done is they've gone, we could have put Kai Allen in the car. We didn't. Now we have FOMO. He's gotten the call up. Now it's a big step to go into, especially this team, because I mean, not that he has to do much to outperform what Will's been doing, but it's always a big step no matter what. And then when you add into the fact that it's this team with so much heritage, it's a whole new pressure. So we'll see how he goes, and I wish him well. The other discussions of changes, more co-driver land, and they're still to be announced, but it does seem that Dale Wood and Garth Tander are finished. Well, Dale Wood's definitely finished from Penrite Racing. No announcement yet. I did hear that it might be some spicy, and we should be watching for announcements when that comes out.
Okay.
But the other one that happened was an ex-Ferrari engineer has been appointed onto Alan's car.
Kai Allen's car,
Hi,
yes.
Alan. Oh, my
Alistair was
God.
on Kai.
Yeah. So sorry, I had Alistair in my head because I'm looking
Yeah.
at that name and I couldn't get Kai's
Yep.
name out. So he's going to Kai Allen's car. So that's Ricardo Corte, ex-Ferrari engineer. Big call, but that's because Alistair McVean takes over from Couchy, who has departed for what we believe is Supercars land.
Yes. Well, I guess that's another one for Penrite that Couchy has announced his departure. And when it initially happened, it was like, oh, this smells like Roland. This smells like, but then it sort of has firmed up without being official that, yeah, perhaps off to Supercars. When that announced, my initial thing after seeing the headline was like, hang on a second, who's, oh, hang on, yeah, no, we're okay. uh, so that's a great promotion. But the other surprising thing when we talk about the fans' commentary and the crossovers, there was so many people that were bagging out Ferrari's strategic part of the team. And I don't know how many people were trying to correct them. They just had it, the strategists are a different team to the engineers. You know this, right? It's like,
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
They,
and
they,
they have been able to engineer a decent car. I know it's got a bit backwards, but I'm pretty sure he's more than capable for supercars.
yeah, he's not the first F1 engineer to make the trip across. I mean, what he will bring to that team, I think, because he's been looking after the simulator style area in particular over for
Yep.
Ferrari. So I think he'll bring a level of expertise with that, which will probably help them because, like all these teams now, they don't get to test anymore. So simulation is becoming a very big thing, and I
Yeah.
think getting someone in who understands some of that technology and how it works and how it runs, and probably bringing it across what to buy, so it can correlate, I think is going to be a big way to improve teams going forward. And that's where they're going to spend their cash.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a good move. I did know, we'll just quickly go back to that you did put in there that Garth Tander's out, and just,
Yeah.
it is still a bit of whispers and not confirmed
There's
or
a question
anything,
mark
but
there.
yeah, there is a question mark. But just give me your take on, I guess, the announcement will probably change a little bit of this, but what did you make of Darwood's performance over the Enduros this year?
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. I
Yeah.
didn't have, it didn't cause any alarms or anything like that. So
No.
not enough to say like D'Alberto, was
Yeah.
sackable offences. Sorry,
Yep.
Tony. I love you, mate,
Yep.
but
That was yeah.
yeah, I think Dale did an extraordinary job, and I think he has done for a while. He's very
Yeah.
calm set of hands, and just brings the car back. And I mean, kudos, because I mean, when you look at Kai and everything that they went through in that, like specifically Bathurst, where they got punted from here to orange,
Yep.
they drove back through the field and were almost in contention again with a battered up car. So
Yep.
I think that speaks enough for the job that they both did in that race.
Yeah, I guess I asked the question because it did feel a little bit out of left field, and then so straight away I'm thinking, okay, there must be something off the back of this, because yeah, given that he was a real solid performer through the Enduros, and I think he has over his journey, he's had some years where he hasn't been as great, but I think his time now where he's working a lot in the Porsches, he's got some regular seat time. I think it's definitely helping him keep on that edge that he needs to. But I'm sure there's plenty of teams that will likely grab him up if he's not just retiring or stepping away totally. Look forward to the announcement. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. And look, on the Garth Tander thing,
Mm.
I think, I know it hasn't been confirmed, but I think it's pretty much confirmed that he won't be running next year, which is a shame because he definitely still has the ability and the racecraft. But at least he got one this year, I guess. So if you are stepping away, Garth, hopefully it's to replace Scaife and we can all, have a happy day.
Oh, vote one, Garth
Vote one,
Tander.
Garth Tander.
Written and endorsed by the Valve Downs.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right. So now we've had all these announcements of young kids.
Yeah.
I actually thought about this the other day, and I didn't mention it to you, but is this the youngest grid we've had? Because there's a lot of kids under the age of, or 24 and under from
Mm.
my reference. I think you said there might be 8. I think if you did your calculations correct.
Yeah, yes. I thought I'd just run the numbers on either those that were new to the grid or just existing drivers that were already under 24 or under 25. There's 8 that are under 24. Declan Fraser's at 25. Jaden O'Jada's 26, so he's just a little bit older.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of them, I'll run through the list. So you've still got Brock Feeney, amazingly, right? That sits under there. Rylan Gray joins. He's only 18. So he'll be, I assume, like about 19 or so next year. Matt Payne, Kai Allen, Job Stewart joins. Cooper Murray is still a young rookie, coming out of his rookie
20,
season.
I think. Yep.
Yep. As I said there, we've got Ryan Wood, who's been, absolutely stepping up, looking like a superstar. And then unconfirmed, but Zach Bates is included in that number. So he's not quite confirmed yet, but he is the hot tip for the Matt Stone Racing seat, and he's 21. So that's I don't know. I tried to do some quick searches. I didn't give it enough time, but I couldn't find any stat that had been listed anywhere about, the youngest grid or whatever. I'm sure if we keep an eye on V8 Sleuth, I'm sure at some point, once this is all confirmed up or early next year, that'll be something that Scafell, if he's in the commentary position, will latch on in the early round. This is the youngest field we've ever had. You'll hear it about 40 times, I reckon, if it is. All right. That's my
only
tip.
40. Mate, I think, come on. We heard 40 times that Kai Allen had never been to the Gold Coast. I think it's over the period of a season. Oi. Sheesh.
Yep.
I think you're right. I think it's the youngest grid ever. Maybe we should tag Sleuth in this one and get him to watch, and maybe you guys can tag him down below and tell, get him to do some investigating on whether this is actually confirmed the youngest grid we will ever have. Really, really cool to see, and it will throw up a lot going forward. Well, I think that probably wraps up the Supercars stuff. Maybe we should move on to Formula One.
Ooh, Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. We head there this weekend, and it's a sprint weekend of all the things. But wet weather, so that means Verstappen victory, and we'll just see what plays out at McLaren. Yeah?
Well, the problem we've got is it doesn't look like it's torrential. It looks likely to rain, both on the sprint and the race. I think it was like 40% precipitation chance. So it might not be quite as cut and dry, but, I guess if we're looking at Brazil, if it is dry, McLaren should be dominant, and then it's going to come down to who out of Norris and Piastri, can get to the front. Obviously, Lando comes in with all the momentum, so Oscar's got to do this resetting. Is going to be okay. maybe this is the one. But yeah, if rain hits, as you say, at the right time, then happy days, Max. Super Max is back.
I feel like this is probably a track. I mean, we know it's a track that he particularly loves, and he seems to always excel at. Yep. He's going to be the one to beat for sure. We're looking for Oscar to make a resurgence here. 1 point behind. If Max happens to be the race winner, all Oscar has to do is finish ahead of Lando. So fingers crossed then.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's a little bit less of I just have to finish in front of Lando, because I feel like something doesn't trigger him to drive the right way when he's thinking like that. I just want him to go and just smash it up, and hopefully he can take some points in the sprint, get some confidence, come out, beat him in the quali, and just have to fight off Max for the win. And then we'll be all happy again.
We'll be happy again. I know, right? Bernie made some statements this week.
Oh, did he? Oh, I missed it. What did the old boy say?
He was talking about the fact that McLaren, wanted Lando to win because, in his eyes, in his belief, that an English driver who's more charismatic, can fill on magazines and everything else. That's why. And he said that Oscar is clearly looking frustrated and disappointed with the team at the moment, which I think is a fair assessment. I think we've sort of touched on that as well. And he thinks that that's primarily what's causing the grief in the background. But so nothing we don't really know, but he thought he'd throw his 2 cents in there anyway.
He just pops up every now and then, doesn't he?
He does. And yeah, it's hard, right? Because, we are Piastri fans, and I've heard Gunter Steiner on the Red Flags podcast also punching in with his belief that the team's just not behind him, and that's causing all sorts of drama. Now he did stop at the point because they did ask him whether he thought that there was any sabotage happening, and he literally said no, put the brakes on that. That just doesn't occur. So Damo, they're sabotaging him.
It's official. You heard it here first. Yeah. I think we all know deep down that they're not going to do that. They're not going to they're not going to risk everything like that to actually sabotage, but it's very small things. And I think that it's 100%, which we've spoken about, of course, is that when you don't have the confidence that the team's behind you in the right way, and some of these change positions, don't change positions, all of these, no repercussions, all of this stuff that's been happening, it's definitely not helping Oscar. So let's, crack our neck and fingers and let's roll up the sleeve, Oscar, and let's go get him.
Peter Windsor, he actually spoke to an ex-Haas engineer, and they were discussing that it takes a long time to download all the information from the cars and things like that, and that any small thing, especially on sprint weekends where you might start just behind the 8 ball, makes it really hard to sort of come back from there. But but they also find, like Peter said, I find it very difficult to understand why the conversation is around him having to change his style of driving now when all season long he's been winning. It doesn't make a whole lot of a sense. So I agree with him on that.
It made me feel like I was actually smarter than I really am, because that's exactly what I said. And then he came out and just said, it's so bizarre because it doesn't make sense at all. So yes, that's good news.
Yes, very good news.
I guess
somebody helps us.
somebody agrees with us at least. I guess I just wanted to touch on that run home, the championship run home. We've given our little piece on Brazil. A really good or bad race for any one of those drivers is going to absolutely flip the championship on its head. We'll keep an active eye on it. But we have spoken about the last three that happened after that, which is Las Vegas, Qatar, and obviously Abu Dhabi. I reckon Las Vegas is probably the one that's the biggest red herring. Not only do I think personally that Red Bull will be strong there, I know you also believe like Mercedes have got their piece, their fingers in the pie, and they'll be fast there again. And so that one has potential. So say we come out of Brazil and it's still pretty tight, they're all up there, maybe Oscar ends up ahead of Lando and it's just, neck and neck, and maybe Max wins and takes some more of the championship points away from them. But then you look at Las Vegas, if one of them has a bad round, you could very well have Oscar wins, you could have Max second, and then you could have two other cars in between where Lando is, or if it's Oscar or if it's Max, you could actually have a couple of cars taking valuable points off. And I'd almost say that Ferrari's got a shot at it as well to sort of get their nose in there. As one of the worst time slots for us, Las Vegas is going to be the one that I'll want to watch, depending on what happens at Brazil, of course. Keen to hear your thoughts on what you think about the Las Vegas.
Vegas is going to be key or pivotal turning point of the championship. Whoever comes out of that best, because all three have not had spectacular runs there, not Verstappen, not Norris, not Piastri. It's been very much a Mercedes style track for whatever reason, and Ferrari also seem to be pretty strong there as well. It's probably a point in the championship. It might be the point that, for instance, if Verstappen has something go wrong at Brazil or anything like that, that it's the point that he's out of the championship, right? Or it could be the other way. we're all sitting here going, oh, it's over. Lando's, going to get it done because, he's got the momentum now. And,
No.
and, Max is, he needs everything to fall. But we don't know. We just don't know. Anything can happen from here. We've seen so much unfold this year already. And if you've gone back to when we came back from the break and Oscar went out and just absolutely nailed it and Lando went bang, we went, championship done. And yet here we are. So anything can happen. And I still think, I said it last time that there's going to be a twist. I feel there's probably at least another singular twist that's going to change the way that this championship unfolds. So I think it's worthwhile watching.
Oh, as grumpy as he is at the moment about it, that's good to hear. And I guess, just lastly, as a bit of a wrap up, because we've got obviously a sprint round at Qatar and then Abu Dhabi. I feel like it's a McLaren track. They should be reasonably solid there. So it will come down to those two if the McLarens are both in the fight. Those tracks should be good for them over Max. But keen to hear your thoughts as a bit of a close up for this pod.
Yeah, look, I said earlier this year that if Oscar can wrap it up by these points, it'd be great for him because both Qatar and Abu Dhabi, two tracks that Lando particularly seems to drive well at. I know Oscar's also won at Qatar, but that was through mistakes of Lando, which could still potentially happen.
Yes.
So, there's a lot, again, there's so much to play out. And the pressure of a championship, it's going to start to weigh in. And Lando will change slightly now because he has the championship lead, all by 1 point. But now that he's in front, it's like, oh, shit. Okay, now you have to deliver. So let's see what happens. Brazil's going to be interesting. Vegas is going to be interesting. And then we'll see where we're sitting after Vegas. And that'll probably give us a pretty good clue on how this year is going to unfold.
Yeah, and I really hope that, fingers crossed, Oscar can kind of get this wrapped up before Abu Dhabi because he will miss FP1, and I'm really feeling a little unhappy about that now. It's making me feel a little stressed because he needs a whole weekend to get going sometimes, Mr. Piastri.
But you can also take a case study, Damo. Look at China, where he didn't go well the year before, and he turned up. It was a sprint place, and he just turned up and he dominated. Like, it's okay.
It might be. Okay.
It's okay. He'll be okay. Don't worry. It'll be okay.
Oh, he better be.
Goose Faber.
Yeah. I'll woosah a little bit, okay?
Very good. Yeah. All right. Well, that probably wraps it up for this evening's pod. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. If you like the pod, you can find us on the Valve Bounce on all the socials. Share it with your friends, your family, anybody who you think might actually enjoy this content. And if you have any ways that you want us to improve or you think we can implement, let us know. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. And thanks to the best analyst in the business, Damo, for joining me again.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Not sure why, but I'll take it. It's about the only compliment I get at the moment. So thank you, mate. Thanks for all the prep work, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you guys.